Today on this James the Bike Guy, we're checking out an incredibly popular multi-use bike from Trek. A bike that's able to combine some of the features of an entry-level mountain bike with the features of a fitness hybrid bike. That's right, we're checking out the 2022 Trek Dual Sport 2. And this bike is a pretty sweet rig that we'll go into, talk about why it's so popular, who it's for, and then of course all the features and design. So if this kind of thing is interesting to you, I suggest you stick around and let's check out this bike together. So to start the video off, we should talk a bit about who and what the Dual Sport series is for. So the Trek Dual Sport is really a nice combination of mountain bike and hybrid type riding. So when I talk about that, if we look at Trek's lineup, in their hybrid series, which is essentially a mixture of multiple bikes, you'll see that they have a Trek FX bike, which falls in their fitness commuter bike. You'll see that they also have a Trek Verve, which is a more upright, more comfortable version of the bike. And then they have this one, the Trek Dual Sport. Now, the Trek Dual Sport varies differently from the other two hybrids because of one major thing, and that's the addition of this front suspension. So the front end has suspension to be able to compress as you go through bad terrain, such as either a bike path that's maybe not paved, a gravel setup, going through some bad roads, or even a real light single track trail. And then the other place that it differs is it's going to come with slightly knobby tires in a 40 millimeter width for a lot of extra width on those tires and more stability on rough road conditions. Now, the positioning of the bike is very similar to a mountain bike. However, because it's still running a road bike diameter wheel and it's still setting you up in a efficient position, this is going to ride in a much lower amount of resistance than a traditional mountain bike would on, say, a road or a paved surface. And so that's where the magic comes in here. This particular bike is definitely a good choice for people who are thinking of, what's the one bike that can do it all, able to go out with the kids, maybe to the state park or something like that, but also after work, get out for a nice workout. Now, diving into the frame of this Dual Sport, the Dual Sport series are all going to run the same alloy frame. So this aluminum frame is what they call their Gold Alpha aluminum. And Gold Alpha aluminum means that this is a shaped and butted frame set. It's going to run internal cable routing, which means the cables go inside, making it nice and easy to put this up on a car rack or lock it up against a bike rack. And then the other neat thing with this is it's going to run an 1.125" head tube. Out back, you're going to have a standard 27-2 seat post with a clamp, making it nice and theft resistant, but also hold in place. And then as we go to the back of the bike, you'll have neat things like a spot for a duo trap, which is a sensor that you can add to measure speed and cadence, how fast you're pedaling. It's also got a rear mount kickstand spot, which is helpful in case you run a rack on the bike. Now you can, and that's the cool thing, is you've got these little mounting points to put a rear rack on the bike, which you could carry for luggage if you were going out on a ride and wanted to bring some stuff with you, put a child seat on the back, a whole bunch of different things. The bike is also compatible with fenders, and up front, this is going to be a place where the Dual Sport 2 is a bit nicer than the Dual Sport 1. So in Trek's lineup, they go 1 through 4 on Dual Sports. The higher the number, the better. And on the Dual Sport 2, you get a neat thing with the front suspension where it has a lockout. And what a lockout does is it effectively locks out the suspension so it's not compressing. So if you're going out on one of those fitness rides and really wrenching against the bike, it's pretty cool because it's able to lock the front end out, make sure everything's as efficient as possible, and then you can open that lever back up to have your full compression and comfort. Two other things to mention here: quick release, both on the front and the rear, easy to take the wheels on and off. And as long as you're on a size medium or larger, it's going to come with both a mount on the down tube as well as the seat tube to be able to run a water bottle cage. Next up, let's talk a bit about the drivetrain here. And this is a nice place for 2022. Essentially what we're running here is a 2x9 drivetrain from Shimano. And so up front, you've got 2 rings, which is a high and a low position. So the larger the ring, the faster you're going to go. Lower position is better for going up on climbs. And then looking out back is going to be a Shimano Altus rear derailleur operating a Shimano 11 to 36 tooth cassette. Now the neat thing here is the front is going to be a 46-30 gear ratio, and in back it's 11-36, which means that the gear ratio on this is lower than a 1-to-1, which is sort of the gold standard for being able to get up a climb. So having the gear ratio even lower than that means you shouldn't be thwarted by any sort of climb. The other thing to talk about is when you start going down on the climb, the Dual Sport 2 is upgraded from the 1 by using some hydraulic disc brakes, operating 2 piston calipers both on the front and the rear. Now to dial in the position on the bike, we'll start off with a Bontrager saddle mounted up on a 27.2 aluminum Seatpost. This combination does allow for a universal mount for saddles, so just about anything that fits comfortably for you can go on here. You do have 2 bolts of adjustment to be able to angle out and adjust how that's going to fit. And then up front, you'll see that we have an aluminum stem going to this alloy handlebar. Now, the nice thing with an alloy handlebar over steel that you'll find on the 1 level or some other bikes is that this is going to help reduce some of the weight, especially in the steering feel. And up top here, we have ergonomic style rubber grips. So when your hand goes on, it's in a nice, comfortable position. And then you can operate the shifters with a thumb button and an index finger to go the other way. So the controls are all sort of placed in one comfortable position. Our last thing to talk about is going to be the connection with the road, and pun intended, because it has Bontrager's connection rims. These connection rims are a double-walled alloy rim. They're laced up with J-bend spokes to those quick-release hubs, which all that really means is it should be a durable wheel set, and they're rolling using some Bontrager GR1 comp tires. These comp tires are in a 700 by 40 millimeter width. 700 is the diameter of the wheel, and then 40 millimeters is how wide the tire is. You can go ever so slightly wider, but you can also switch this out to a smoother tire if you wanted to, if the type of riding you do really starts to lend itself just to street use. And the actual weight for the Trek Dual Sport 2 2022 in a size medium comes in and weighs 29.92 pounds. Well, thanks so much for taking a look at this Trek Dual Sport 2 with me. I hope you enjoyed checking it out. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Do you see this as a nice rig for your bike out on the rail trail or out with your kids? Or would you use it for commuting or even some light trail riding? I'd love to know that, so leave it down in the comments below. As well as be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see more videos like this in the future.